What is up, boys and girls? Welcome back to another video on Film Team. Today, guys, we'll be talking about the 10 incredible deals in hardcore porn stars. Make sure to subscribe if you're new and turn on post notifications on. But without further ado, let's dive into our 10th spot. Coming up at number 10, we have the $68,250 1932 custom road Ford star. Rick and Corey engaged in fierce negotiations with the owner of a pristine jet black 500 horsepower 1932 custom Ford. The convertible Roadster was in impeccable shape with just 450 miles. And after Vegas car custom legend, Danny the Count Coca fell in love with it. Rick knew he had to strike a deal, of course, which he did at $68,250 for it. Coming up at number 9, we have the 67.5K 1915 Panama Pacific octagonal gold coin. After heading to Atlanta to attend one of the biggest coin auctions in America, Rick Harrison, needed to find a 1915 Panama Pacific octagonal $50 gold piece for a customer who wanted to pay $70,000 for it. Well, Rick and the boys love coin collections. These commemorative coins were created by the US Mint to celebrate the opening of the Panama Canal. After tracking 2 coins down, of course, Rick finally negotiated a deal on one for $67,500. Coming up at number 8, we have $60,000 2014 Hertz Penske GT Mustang. Now, Rick and the boys obviously love their cars. In 2013, the car rental company Hertz announced a partnership with American entrepreneur Roger Penske to create 150 limited edition Ford GT Mustangs. Joey Logano to give it a test drive. Happy that everything was in working order, of course, Rick struck a deal at $60,000. When a gentleman brought Rick one of the first 10 ever built, that is when Rick struck the deal of $60,000, of course. Coming up at number 7, we have the JFK cigar box, one of the most memorable pieces on their show. $60,000 when a man walked into the gold and silver pawn shop with a piece of presidential history. This man said that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to collect one of the rarest items on the show. Rick just had to have it. The item was a cigar box, of course, that once sat on President John Kennedy's desk in the Oval Office. It even included some unsmoked cigars, considering another of JFK's cigar boxes sold for over $500,000 back in the 90s, of course. Rick was onto a winner instantly when he took this one off the gentleman for $60,000. Coming up at number 6, we have the Vic Flicks 1961 Fender Stratocaster guitar. The Fender Stratocaster is described as one of the most iconic rock guitars in history, so when legendary studio musician Vic Flick, the man who played the guitar riff on the original James Bond theme, brought his 1961 Fender into the shop, Rick had to make a deal instantly. Flick played this particular guitar on popular recordings, of course, for artists including Tom Jones and the Beatles. Flick and Rick shook hands on $55,000. Coming up at number 5, we have the 80K 1922 Proof Piece High Relief Dollar. Described as one of the rarest coins in American history, the 1922 High Relief Dollar was brought into Rick's shop by a man who originally won it in a poker game. The gentleman believed the coin, one of only 10 to 12 left in existence, to be worth around $20,000. After Rick had one of his experts take a look at it, that price jumped considerably, with a new estimate given of between $50,000 to $100,000. Rick and the man struck a deal at $80,000, of course, which is quite a reasonable price. Coming up at number 4, we have the 1941 Gibson SJ200 guitar. Not only was this guitar beautiful and rare, but it was also owned by rock legend Stephen Stills of the folk rock group Crosby, Stills Nash owned this piece of rock and roll history, which was instantly appreciated by Rick, and he uttered the words, "That is cool." With an accompanying bill of sale signed by Stills himself, Rick had to dig deep to get his hands on this holy grail of Gibson's guitar. In the end, he was able to prize it off the owner for a cool $85,000. Coming up at number 3, we have the 1961 Gibson SJ Les Paul guitar. This custom guitar belonged to American guitarist Mary Ford. He was a wife of legendary guitarist Les Paul. From 1950 to 1954, Mary and Les Cole wrote 16 top 10 hits and sold millions of records. Les' solid body guitar design also effectively changed the sound of rock music as a whole. Already a rare guitar made even more valuable with its actual connection to Les Paul, this would become Rick's largest guitar buy of his career. Now guys, coming up in our 11th spot, after told by his father to invest, one gentleman decided to purchase over £200 of silver. By the time he walked into Rick's shop, of course 12 years had passed since his investment and the price of silver had skyrocketed. With a set profit margin, Rick knew he had to sell it on immediately. So after carrying out some checks to ensure the silver was pure, which even included some drilling, he was happy to snap up the hoard for the pricey sum of $111,000. Now guys, coming up in our first spot, we have the $95,000 1932 Lincoln Roadster. This convertible was created with one thing in mind, and one thing only: luxury. Of course, with its 150 horsepower V12 engine, it was more powerful than most cars of its era. So when Rick and her old man went to go check it out, of course, exceptionally maintained 32 Roadster, they knew they had to go really big for it if they wanted to ride off with this vintage beauty. In the end, it was $95,000 big, paid in cash only, which the owner then pushed back over the counter to buy $95,000 in gold. Now guys, if you did enjoy the video and you learned something new, make sure you comment it down below and subscribe if you're new and turn on post notifications on so you do not miss any further future uploads. But without further ado, I'll see you guys next time.